Welcome to this week's Extra Time, our chance to think through, in a relaxed way, some of the things which might have given us food for thought in this week's session. Thanks very much for those who've been in touch with feedback from the first one last week. It's nothing if not varied, some wanting more depth, some wanting less depth, some happy somewhere in the middle. So we'll do our best to square that circle. But as I said, if there are questions you want to focus on more than others, feel free to dwell on or skip over them as you see fit. And so as we go back to the start of what we were talking about today, I mentioned the importance of looking to Jesus as the key way for us to know and understand God. And in this visual medium of YouTube, we've been using these videos and images of the gospel stories produced by a company called the Lumo Project. By all means, chat through with others the extent to which you find Lumo's particular portrayal of Jesus and the company he kept helpful. But more broadly than that, perhaps let's think through this question. When you think of Jesus, what kind of mental image comes to mind? And then connected with this, what might the way you imagine Jesus to be reveal about the way you relate to him? Now, in the session, we spoke about the positive response Jesus appears to have to people showing determination in reaching him. We mentioned a man being let through the roof, the bleeding woman, the tree climbing Zacchaeus. And so a question related to that. To what extent do you agree that Jesus values determination? And then secondly, connected, what might some of the positives and negatives of determination be for our faith? Now, I guess if we think about it, it must have taken some courage for Zacchaeus to climb this tree to see Jesus. Not only must it have been a pretty undignified thing to do, but vulnerable too. Risking ridicule by visibly demonstrating his passion for seeing Jesus, when most people would have dismissed Zacchaeus as a no-good, corrupt tax collector. I guess for us, sometimes it's hard to go out on a limb, shall we say, with our faith. Being public with what we're passionate about and what we believe. And so a question to consider might be this. Can you think of and maybe share ways in which you've shown courage in going public with your faith? And then secondly, how might we learn to be more comfortable in sharing our faith and beliefs with others? On noticing Zacchaeus up the tree, Jesus calls out to him in Luke chapter 19 verse 5, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." Now, we don't know how Jesus knew Zacchaeus' name. Could have been divine inspiration, I suppose. Maybe he'd met him before. Or perhaps Jesus heard other people heckling Zacchaeus and learned his name that way. Either way, Jesus responds to Zacchaeus in a personal way. As we said, noticing, naming, and engaging with him. And so in light of that, a question for us. How might we notice, name, and engage more with those we live alongside? And secondly, how have you noticed your ability to do this has been helped or hindered over recent months? Towards the end of the session, I mentioned some ways in which this approach of noticing, naming, and engaging with seems to bring hope for healing for people. Alongside the rehabilitation of offenders, I mentioned Black Lives Matter, Brexit, and the pandemic as ways in which these principles could be used to make progress in healing divisions. And so, with the acknowledged risk of opening up a political can of worms, try these ones. In what ways might the healing work of Jesus be needed in order to repair the divisions that exist in our wider society? And then connected to this, how can we play our part in partnering Jesus in bringing that healing about? And then finally, for today, a more personal one, if you fancy engaging with this one. In what ways would you value being more noticed, named, and engaged with by others? And if you've been able to identify or share those needs, perhaps you might like to turn those thoughts into prayers, asking Jesus to bring you more of his healing, rehabilitating love into your life, both directly, but also maybe through the way he inspires others around you to care for you. And I think that'll do for now. Thanks very much for engaging with all this today. It's good to reflect, it's good to talk, and may God be with us as we continue to work our way through life in the light of the love of God. Take care, and we'll hopefully get together again soon.